Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports, and it is a bonus point victory for South Africa. They are still in the Rugby Championship hunt. A very strange performance, a game of two halves, but South Africa with a strong start and then a strong finish, managing to get the job. Final score over in Buenos Aires in Argentina, 36 points to 20 in favor of the Springboks. And Malcolm Marx, the hero, scoring two tries, including a try after the Hooter had gone to seal the win. Before we sort of go into exactly sort of the breakdown of the game, please do smash like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. Now, what we saw was a very uncharacteristically good first half from South Africa. And, I mean, we went over, well, we saw Argentina actually got the ball rolling with a penalty in the 8th minute. But David Williams returned the favor before missing an early penalty. But then we had a penalty try in the 20th minute, and that really got the ball rolling. And what was nice to see is from pretty early on, there was a ruthlessness about the Boks. They wanted to get tries. They wanted to score points. They wanted to push for that bonus point from the get-go. Jordan Henderson then went over in the 27th minute, and Malcolm Marx then went over in the 32nd minute. So all of a sudden, we were 22 points to 6 up after just 32 minutes, and we were thinking that this is it, the match is pretty much dead and buried. Very, very strong showing. Wrap it up in the second half, come back to South Africa and live to fight another day in the Rugby Championship. However, what we did not expect was Argentina to really come back in that second half. And all of a sudden, Argentina were very ill-disciplined in the first half. We saw the opposite in the second half. We saw South Africa, giving away lots of penalties. We saw a penalty try being awarded, which I'm a bit hesitant about. I think the problem is when you look at slow-mo, videos and stuff like that, I think sometimes things can get a little bit distorted. So, for example, they're talking about, potential sort of role from Quacker Smith on Kubeli, but I think, if you're watching in real time, it's more momentum than anything else. So I don't think it's thing. But so a penalty try was awarded there, and then Matheus Moroni that went over just a few minutes later in the 67th minute. And all of a sudden, Argentina were back, and they seemed like they had the momentum. And what was once 22 points to 6 was suddenly 22 points to 20. However, getting a couple of penalties, managing to get ourselves back in the 22, and then the power game. Got a very good line, a couple of good strong ball carries, and then Damien Delende just out-muscled, I think it was 2 front rowers, to go through and slam the ball over in the 74th minute. France Steyn adding to the conversion. And then on the 80th minute, a nice little break outside. Mapimpi on the outside, back into Malcolm Marx, who juggled the ball a little bit, eventually bringing it back under control and diving over. Now what I will say is I think that officiating needs a little bit of a word. And it's not so much the decision making, but today we saw a TMO who had to be involved in every single decision. We were sitting here 2 hours after the kickoff, and a game which should have been done 10 to 15 minutes ago. If there wasn't for so many teams. Every single try there, I even looked at the last try, and there was literally, it was the most legitimate of tries you'll ever see in terms of easy to award, and he has to have a look. He was making calls on tackles, he was making calls on offsides. I think it's a dangerous precedent, especially when you're making a call on offsides, for example, and you're seeing it from a distorted view. So I worry that TMOs are becoming far too involved in matches, and for me, today, we didn't see a TMO who was there to be called upon. We saw a TMO who was constantly interjecting, constantly putting himself into the equation and making decisions, which is dangerous because he's living off what the cameras pick up. So the stuff that's happening off the camera, he's not going to see that, and they can't get involved. And that's why he's supposed to be a tool. He's supposed to be a resource to the referee. He is not supposed to referee. I think that is a very dangerous precedent that's currently being set. And I think that, again, regardless of what the decisions are being making, we cannot have TMOs be that involved in the decision-making process. They need to be called upon by the referee, not get involved, interject all the time. Every now and again it's fine. If you do see something which is quite serious stuff like that, but we had far too many penalties being overturned and decisions being made by someone who's watching a monitor. He's not on the ground. He's not seeing it from a first-hand point of view, and he's not waiting to be called upon. So I think that's a bit of a dangerous precedent. Apart from that, it was a very good first half from the Boks, and then a very sloppy second half. The tackling was a bit poor, and Argentina really looked like they could potentially stage a comeback. But if you look at some of the stats, South Africa with more possession, South Africa with more territory, 5 tries to 2, so 7 try thriller. 3 conversions to 1. It is a problem with Damon Willemse, who went off, by the way, and looks doubt for next week. What looks like a suspected concussion. But his goal kicking is a problem, and he missed quite a few very, very convertible opportunities. Look at the meters run, very similar. Both teams beating 16 defenders. South Africa with more clean breaks. South Africa with 6 turnovers, 20 kicks in hand. But if we look at the tackles missed, for example, Argentina making 86, missing 16. Making 71, missing 16, while South Africa made 106 and missed 20 and 84%. So we need to try and get those numbers up a little bit. But also, I mean, it took a penalty try for Argentina to really break through the lines. So it was only one real line break for that second Moroni try, and even then, bit of a debate on whether it was a forward pass or not. The lineouts generally were pretty good. Only lost 2 lineouts. I thought Banker Moss was doing a very good work at line time, but the scrums were a problem. I don't think we've ever had such a poor scrummaging day, where we got little to no award. In fact, we actually conceded a lot of penalties at scrum time, which is a little bit worrying. But discipline is an issue. We conceded 15 penalties, 8 in our own half, 7 in the opposition half, 2 yellow cards for Argentina as well. So 4 yellow cards in the game. Argentina conceding 17 penalties, so well over 30 penalties being conceded across the game. So discipline was pretty poor. But yeah, I mean, 4 yellow cards, you don't want to be watching a game with 4 yellow cards, do you? Yeah, in terms of individual stats, Malcolm Marx was absolutely immense. 10 carries, 14 tackles, 2 tries to his name. I thought that Damien Delindi played very well today, very industrious, made a lot of tackles. Franco Moster put another good shift, 17 tackles from him, just the 1 missed. I thought Luat Diago was very good in the first half. Evan Etzebeth was pretty industrious throughout the game. JC Creel on the attack was pretty poor, but he made 7 tackles, not missing a single one. So defensively, he was very solid, but wasn't great with ball in hand. Willie LaRue as well, also a bit of a quiet game. And then for Argentina, I thought that Marcus Kramer was pretty solid. Wasn't as involved as he'd like to be. Made 11 tackles, made 8 carries, got them over the advantage line. Pablo Matera as well was pretty good. We didn't see too much of the Argentinian centers, which I think is probably quite a good thing. So I think when they're on their mark, I think De La Fuente and Matias Orlando can be very, very dangerous players. But let me know what you thought about the game down in the comments below. Please do smash like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steven. I'll chat to you soon.